Hello and welcome to the latest video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout as we look ahead to Fantasy Premier League Game Week 17. It's team reveal time, and as usual, I'm joined by Fantasy Football Scout's deputy editor, Tom Freeman. Tom, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks, Joe. Yeah, got a few issues in my team this week. Flags on Reece James and Haaland are the most concerning. So looking forward to this, having a bit of a chat through it, and trying to kind of firm up some plans, I suppose. So yeah, should be good.
Yeah, definitely. The Haaland injury, or however long he's out for, that is gonna affect a lot of our decisions this week. Just reminding to everyone to do press that like button and do remember to subscribe as well. Also worth checking out fantasyfootballscout.co.uk because we've got a 7-day free trial for our membership. I think we've got a table coming up as well in this show. That's an example of the kind of table you can make there, and there's a 20% off offer there. I don't think I introduced myself. For the benefit of those listening on the podcast, my name is Joe. Okay. What we'll have a look at is the fixtures coming up. We'll have a look at the best strikers, because strikers are on people's minds. There's lots of strikers people want. And Haaland might be out of the picture in Game Week 17. As it stands at the moment, we don't know what the clear picture is, but he's currently flagged for Game Week 17 with a foot issue. And then we'll look at our teams and we'll reveal our decisions. So just having a look at the fixtures coming up. Chelsea are top still for the next 6 fixtures: Sheffield United, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Luton, Fulham, and then Liverpool. Then Luton have got good fixtures and have looked better despite getting beaten, but have looked better. Brighton's fixtures are really improving. After Arsenal, they've got Crystal Palace, Tottenham, West Ham, Wolves, and Luton. Meanwhile, terrible fixtures: Crystal Palace, Man City, Brighton, Chelsea, Brentford, Arsenal, Sheffield United. So we're going to be looking to offload our players there. City's fixtures are a bit mixed, good and bad, and they blank in Game Week 18. They play Crystal Palace next at home, and then they got Everton, Sheffield United, good fixtures, Newcastle and Burnley, so it gets a bit more mixed there. Meanwhile, Villa's fixtures are going to get a bit better soon. They do have Brentford next, but then away. But then they've got Sheffield United at home, which should be a good fixture. Manchester United away and Burnley at home after that as well. So for your point of view, for your team, what's your general feeling about sort of players you want to move out and players you want to go for, based on the sort of fixtures?
Well, the Chelsea fixtures are great. They're not in a great moment at the moment, though. That's the problem with it. I was feeling fairly well set up for this run with Reece James and Cole Palmer in my team, but we've obviously had the news that Reece James, it sounds like he's going to be out for a while, so that's an immediate fire I need to put out. I'm not really tempted to go to another defender at Chelsea at the moment. They're not filling me with confidence, I don't think, and. But obviously the fixtures are there if you want to go for a Sterling or something like that. We've seen what he can do against the lesser teams already this year. So there's that option. Luton, I think the only player I'd consider there is probably Alfie Doughty, the kind of defender, because he's creating a lot of chances there. Yeah, but Brighton, we spoke about it on our video, our goals imminent video, that fixtures are going to get good for them soon. And once Europe is finished, I think that's going to help some of their assets with not so much travel. I guess the concerns, I own a Palace defender like you, Joe. I've got Mark Gahey, so he's on the chopping block. He might survive another week with Reece James more of a priority to move out. But I don't see any clean sheets for Palace in the next 5 game weeks.
I'll tell you what, I was going to say, I've got Anderson over Gahey. And what I do, the last 2 matches, because I've been listening to the last 2 Palace matches, and in the last 5 minutes, I have heard the commentator basically exclaim that Anderson's about to score, and then it gets saved or something. So it's not the end of the world if I keep Anderson, because he sounds like he's got a goal in him.
Yeah, he's a threat from set pieces, and he plays some really nice balls, like diagonal balls out from the back, which have got him assists in the past as well. So yeah, I mean, if I end up having to keep Gahey, providing I'm not playing him in any of these fixtures, I don't mind it, because he's 4.5, or I got him for 4.5 or 4.6. I can't remember. It's pretty cheap. But yeah, certainly. I mean, that Chelsea run, I mean, it's fixtures, or fixtures over form if you go in there, isn't it? But
definitely.
There's certainly games there where they can score in. No.
As a Haaland owner, who's obviously missing Game Week 18, possibly Game Week 17 as well, and a Darwin owner, It's definitely strikers are on my mind for the next
Yeah.
transfers, and I'm just going to sort of wing it with what I've got in midfield and defence,
Yeah.
and which comes to our next slide. Really, looking at the best strikers, people are definitely in the mood for a different striker, whether they've got Darwin or Haaland, whether they're going to bench Haaland or not, or whether they're going to play him. And so there's lots of strikers who are sort of in form at the moment as well. So I've got this list. I'll sort of read out their stats, and then I'll ask you sort of who you favour as well. So I'll read out some of the names and the stats, and then we'll come to what you think about them. Calvert-Lewin is got Bournemouth, Tottenham, Man City next. He had 12 shots in the last 4 game weeks, 7 on target, and his expected goal non-penalty. So I've just stripped away penalties from this. Is 3. So he's expected goals. He should have got 3 over this time. Solanke is next, 7 million. Got Luton, Nottingham Forest, Fulham next. That's the pick of the fixtures. 15 shots, 5 on target, 4 starts. His expected goal non-penalty is in fact 3 over this period. Haaland is mentioned there. As I said, he might be out as well. He might be missing. So he could be a player we're looking at either benching or swapping out. Isak is next, but Wilson is back. But nevertheless, Isak has Fulham at home, Nottingham Forest at home, and Luton away in between that. 7 shots he's had. His expected goal non-penalty over 2. And he's just had 1 shot on target last 4 game weeks, though, which may be a concern. Neil Maupay at Brentford. We can get some sub points by just mentioning him if he scores, but I don't think people will go there because of Brentford's fixtures and without Neil and Brian and Bomo, rather. It's going to be tricky for them. Jesus is another worth mentioning. Brighton, Liverpool, West Ham, interesting fixtures. 10 shots, 7 on target, great stats. Jimenez, only 5 million or so, 5.4 I think he is. So apologies on the cost there. I haven't put the decimal point for there, but I think he's 5.4 there. Newcastle, Burnley and Bournemouth, 9 shots, 4 on target. Darwin Núñez, absolutely rubbish in my team. Everyone else wants to get rid of him. It's just a question of when, I think. 10 shots. I think I'll keep him for Manchester United, but Arsenal and Burnley, he can go. Kuna at Wolves, 5.7 million. Unlike Hwang, not on 4 yellows. West Ham, Chelsea, Brentford next, 11 shots, 8 on target. That's really good stats. And Pedro at Brighton gets in as well. Expected goal non-penalty. See, he is on penalties, so a lot of his goals come from penalties. He's had 3 goals, but he's had 8 shots on target. Expected goal non-penalty is well over 1 over that period. So it's a nice little list there. Who might you be getting in? Who do you fancy getting? And any strikers not on that list you're thinking of?
I think the obvious name which is missing from there is Watkins, because he's a player which a lot of people are looking at.
Do you know, he missed out because I sorted this by expected goals non-penalty, and expected goals non-penalty. He was actually below the last 4 game weeks, and I guess he got so a lot of his returns have come through the creativity side of things, the assists. A lot of his goals, a lot of his goal involvement. Do you know? And he was just below in this list. He was so about 2 or 3 players below this.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to look at the fixtures. You know, we've played Arsenal, we've played Man City, we've played a Bournemouth side who, on paper, you think, oh, that's easy. But we've seen what Bournemouth can do to Man United at the weekend, and we've played Tottenham. So it's been a 4-match run. Yeah. Again, I've been saying it all season. Don't worry about Watkins. He's absolutely fine to get in. He will score. He will score against easier teams. Yeah. So he would be at the top of the list. But from the players which are on this table, a bit like a lot of people now, we're looking at Solanke. I think Bournemouth seem to have really turned this corner. They're flying. He's on penalties, which Bournemouth haven't got a penalty yet this season. Luton, Forest, Fulham, Tottenham in the next 4, because the Tottenham, I'll include the Tottenham game, which isn't on there, because I think that's a good fixture for a striker. The third spot, I think that's when it gets really interesting, because I like Jimenez there. Jesus, you could, but then he might be a little bit too much for some people. And potentially, if you're going to distribute funds around with Haaland, you could get to him. But I think it would probably be, I'd probably be looking at Jimenez, and Alvarez is another player on here, isn't he, Joe? He doesn't feature on here. His goal threat hasn't been great, has it?
Well, that's because, I mean, he's only been a striker for 1 game, and his creativity. That's what his
Yeah, yeah.
and but as you said, yeah, the reason because people will look at this and go, why isn't Watkins there? And he is, of course, one of the best strikers to get in, but it is just the last few games he has not got those sets. But they've been tough
No.
games
Yeah.
as well. So and I do apologise about the cost thing there. I hadn't, I sort of some of those were rounded up or down there. So yeah, I should have got the decimal point on some of those there. So they're roughly around that for some of them who've not rounded down. Let's have a look at our teams though. So,
Yeah.
Tom, I've got your team up on the screen here. Do you want to
Mm.
read out who you're captaining and what moves you possibly can do? Because I can see flags there for James and
Yeah.
Haaland. You got one or two transfers?
Got one free
Oh,
transfer,
go on.
and I've got one, but I have got 1.3 million in the bank,
Okay.
which gives me a little bit of
Mm. Yeah.
flexibility. So I'll read out the team first. So I've got Dubravka in goal. I've got three defenders. James, who has a yellow flag, but that will be turning red soon, I presume, and Gabriel and Livramento as well.
Mm-hmm.
Livramento should be okay for this week with Trippier suspended. I did see something earlier saying Dan Burn was back in training, but for this week we should be okay. Then got five across the middle. I've got Salah, who's my current captain,
Yeah.
Palmer, Saka, Gordon, and Son. And then I've got a flagged Haaland and Watkins up front.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the bench, Areola, Gahey, Mubama, and Taylor, who is suspended.
Right.
So there's a few issues there.
Yeah. So what are you going to
James?
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
use one or two? Are you going to take a hit or just one
Right.
transfer?
I think I'm going to have to take my first hit of the season.
Okay.
I think that's pretty, unless miraculously Haaland is declared fit for the weekend, I'm going to have to take a hit.
Okay.
So I'm going to need to make a defender move. And whilst my initial instinct was to take out Gahey first, I think if James is going to be out for 2 or 3 months, I've got to remove him, given his £5.4 million price. And the obvious move, it's maybe a bit dull, the move, but it's to Pedro Porro. He's the defender, which I haven't got. So exciting to watch.
Yeah.
He's got big hauls in him. I considered Pau Torres as well, but I think that Porro's the one that I want, really. Even though I don't see many clean sheets for Spurs, I think it's just that attacking threat that is just... I think I need him in my team, basically.
Okay. And
so then the next position is probably where it gets a bit more interesting, because it's what to do with Haaland. So I can sell Haaland and then look to bring him back in game week 20, and do that kind of Salah out, Haaland in move with knowing that Salah's going to AFCON. But don't really like that, because you're going to miss one fixture for Haaland away at Everton, and you're going to miss Salah at home to Newcastle if you play that kind of transferring them round. So another option, which I could do, which would mean that I could bench Haaland for a couple of weeks, would be to upgrade Mubama to Solanke.
you've got enough to do that?
Only if I downgrade Reece James to a 4.4 million or below defender. So therefore, I can't get Porro in. So I have to kind of take down James, upgrade Mubama, and then have a stronger, an attacking 8, which can cope with Haaland being benched for 2 weeks, but then a slightly weaker defence without Porro in there.
That's a tough one, isn't it? Another option is just not to take the hit and just do James to Porro, and then just get Gahey in or Mbama in for with 1 point and just accept that. But you're taking 4 points anyway, and so you've got to think, well, they're going to get in. So that's why I'm not minded to do a hit for a defender this week. But that is another option. You could just do 4-5-1, and you could swap Gahey. You could do James to Porro and then Gahey to another good defender who might get you an attack in return.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame Gahey has got that fixture this week, because anybody else, if he wasn't playing Man City, Arsenal, or Liverpool, I'd quite easily plug it. That's why he's there. You could plug him into the 11, but it's that fixture. He's not going to, realistically, I doubt he's going to get anything at City. So I think it's probably leading me to a hit, and it's just what I do with Haaland. And if you take out Haaland now, you're basically booking in a couple of transfers, aren't you? One to take him out, one to bring him back in, and game week 20. So I don't mind if I think I can keep up with everybody else by just benching him.
Yeah,
I think I think that does sound quite appealing.
I think logically, I mean, Solanke you might get more for than But I think I don't know. I just think it's more sort of set like ignoring the sort of spending a hit this week, but it would set up your team a bit nicer. I think maybe if you just
So
kept
you would,
Haaland. I
yeah.
would,
So would you do the double defensive move then, Joe,
I,
rather than affect the structure of your team, or would you
yeah,
go Mobama to? Yeah, you would. Yeah. Okay.
I would either go for just James Toporo, that's it, and then just take whatever it is that Gahey gets me or Obama.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or I would do a hit because you've got so James Toporo is about the same, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could get Mark Gahey up to a 5.4
Yeah.
defender, and then that's when you have a look at the Fantasy Football Scout members area and have a look at the attacking defenders tables there,
Yeah.
and go for one of those players, or just get someone like say Colwell, for example.
Yeah, I was just having a look then. You could go for a Colwell, you could go for a Pau Torres or something
And
like that, couldn't you?
it seems weird taking a hit now for that, but I think it would set your team up in a because you and I are quite similar managers in that it. But I mean, but yes, on the face of it, getting Solanke in now would be best. I mean, I'd almost be tempted in your position to actually just remove Haaland and just
Yep.
get whoever you want, whatever striker you want in for Haaland, because that would, and then you could and get Porro in as well. You take that hit,
And take the -4, yeah.
just take the -4, but keep that money always there circulating, either in the bank or within 2 moves, so you can always get Haaland back whenever you want him, because you might want to get him back.
And not wait till the
Yeah.
game week 20 point and have the option to bring him back in for Everton in game week 19.
I mean, I like to think. I like to not think about FPL too much. And a really nice, easy way is like you want Solanke, get Haaland to Solanke, and James to Porro, and you want Porro. These are 2 players you want, and they're good players for this week. And then
And
you've
yeah,
still
I think
got that Haaland money knocking around.
yeah, and I would think I'd be willing to gamble, even though I'd be taking a hit, which I don't like.
Yeah.
Solanke starting on -4 against Gahey. I think he's got a good chance of outscoring him even with the hit this week, hasn't he? To pay that pit instantly back. I think all it will take is one return for Solanke because I don't see Gahey getting more than probably a point this weekend. So
Yeah, it could even get a minus, and yeah. So I think even if you just get exactly the same, then that's your team will look better, because Haaland's definitely not playing game week 18. You've got Solanke and Watkins in place, and I don't know. I'd be tempted by that. Definitely,
I think in certain teams losing Haaland makes more sense than others.
Yeah.
But because I am quite thin at the moment, the Taylor suspension is annoying because I say it's annoying. It's annoying for this week because he could quite easily step in at home to Everton, but at least he's available for game week 18. So that kind of helps.
Also in game week 18, so Palmer's on 3 yellows. He could get his 4th yellow game week 17.
He's on 4 yellows now.
Is he on, sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
sorry, he's one way. So so he's on 4 yellows now.
Could be an issue, couldn't it? Yeah.
So he could get his 5th yellow game week 17. Game week 18, he might be out. In which case, you would have Taylor, Barmer, you would have a whole bunch of players, and Haaland obviously can't play in game week 18.
Yeah.
But if you
Taylor will be okay, but Haaland's a problem.
But you could cope
Palmer
without
could be a
Palmer.
problem.
You could cope without, because everyone's going to want Watkins in game week 18. That's the move. But you've already got him. So game week 18, what to replace Palmer? I'm not saying transfer him out, but you can bench Palmer if he gets his 5th yellow, and then you can upgrade whoever you want: Gahey, Barmer, Taylor.
Yeah, so there's a few options, isn't there?
Yeah,
and I think it would be good to get a kind of I don't know if we will, but I don't think it sounds good for Haaland this weekend, but it would be nice to hear it from Pep to say, look, we're going to keep holding back until the World Club Cup and see how he gets on them. Yeah, we'll see.
Just before we move on to my team, you must have gone up quite a bit in the rankings this week.
Yeah, which was funny because I think I only had 2 players return, but fortunately I got the voice on the right one. And it's still a bit of a slog this season, but I think I'm about 800k at the moment.
So well within the top million.
Yeah, moving in the right direction. And there isn't, I mean, I'm kind of looking upwards, and there's not a massive amount of points between maybe me and somebody who's like 400k. I think we're probably talking about 25, 30
Yeah.
points. And I think over this busy Christmas spell, I think there's a chance to kind of get that rank up quite a bit more in the next few weeks. So
Yeah.
just keep my fingers crossed that whatever I decide to do in the next week or so, Paul, it kind of works out, because it's going to be really important, and quite a big moment of the season, what to do with Haaland, going
Yeah.
without him for that possible game week 19. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot to think through.
Okay, well, quickly have a look at my team. So I got 71 points last time out. So I'm in the top 100k for the first time. I'm
Good stuff.
73k. But
Nice.
but exactly as you were saying, it's a precarious 73k.
Wow, it's good
Because
to be there.
I was relying on a Dingra's 10 points really to propel me up,
Yes.
and as you said, it's very tight. So I'm a below average or bad game week away from plummeting much further.
Mm.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Great
So
position to be in,
it's a
though,
good position to be in,
and our teams are so similar. All it takes is that one player, isn't it, to
exactly,
do well? So
exactly. And a Dingra is that kind of differential that we talk about a lot on the goals imminent video.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm going in with a 3-5-2 at the moment. So I've got Dubravka in goal, home to Fulham. Simicast against Manchester United. Gabriel against Brighton. I'm not actually expecting many clean sheets there, but maybe attacking returns from Simicast. And Pedro Porro, who everyone covets, so I'm pleased I've got him. I've got Salah as captain, who was my vice captain, but then the Haaland injury. But
Yeah.
I think Salah's a great captain, plays at the end of the week, so I can always have hope. But it's against Manchester United, always does well there. Son, good vice captain away from Nottingham Forest. Saka at home to Brighton. Palmer at home to Sheffield United. These are good fixtures. And a Dingra away to Arsenal. I cannot believe he's going to start this one, but I'm going to try him anyway. I think even if he doesn't start, he'll get about 20, 30 minutes, because it's only really Buonanotte, maybe
Yeah.
Pedro, who can replace him, and neither look the best on the right. Adingra looks the best, so I think he'll either play or he'll get. So he's going to either get me a return or 1 point. So I'm okay with that. Darwin, I'm okay with playing against Manchester United, but I do want him to go. And I've got Haaland tentatively there, but not captained. And on my bench, I've got Areola, who's flagged, Archer, Anderson, and Lamptey, who's forever perma injured. Yeah, lots to think about with me. Just one transfer, but I do have 3.2, I think it is, in the bank,
Okay.
which makes me minded to keep Haaland, because I can do Archer to Solanke, because I feel I need to improve Archer. I mean, I feel okay having Archer, but on the bench as a first sub. But I think Solanke there. So Haaland would essentially be on my bench then, a non-playing bench player. Darwin and Solanke. And then I'm 0.2. I've got 0.2 in the bank to do the following week, Darwin to Watkins. So it's tight. So I'm a Darwin. I can do one a little bit of price changes, but any more, and I'm locked out of Darwin to Watkins. So I might, this coming weekend when the deadline passes, I might make a rare move to Darwin to Watkins, and that's after the deadline, and that's rare for me. But I will be priced out of that otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment, yeah, Solanke's the one I want in. Good fixture, and a player I'd want in, especially over Christmas. Reliable striker, starts every game. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at really.
Yeah, I
But
think that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And because you can simply strengthen your eighth attacker,
yeah,
and the other option would be to just bring Solanke in for Haaland. But I don't think there's enough benefit to just doing that and keeping the money in the bank, because it's two transfers, and your team seems to be able to cope with it pretty nicely anyway.
yeah. As I said,
So
I
yeah,
mean, Anderson against City, I really don't want to play him, but I'm quite
no,
actually okay with Anderson as a first sub, because I do think he's got a goal in him coming up.
yeah, yeah,
And in my position, Haaland is a bench, because I want him back in game week 19. The two players I want over the next 2 weeks are Solanke and Watkins, who I can get whilst Haaland's on my bench. And because I
yeah.
haven't got any Bomo anymore, I haven't got any Brentford players, I can cope with that blank in game week 18. I mean, the blank will just be Haaland. That's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're benefiting in a way from those two £5 million midfielders, aren't you? Because you've got a
Yeah,
bit
I
more
think.
flexibility.
And
So
I think also so this is to apply this to other people's teams just before we go, is that I've got Palmer and Adingra. Lots of people have Palmer and Gordon, and lots of people got
yeah,
Gordon when he wasn't whatever he is now, 6.2, 6 million, and but when
yeah,
he was much cheaper than that. So they've effectively got that similar setup there of two cheap midfielders. So that will enable them to perhaps keep Haaland as well, I think. Depending on where else they put their money, they can keep their money. But yeah, but I do think those removing Haaland, like if you decide, is the key is how do you get him back? Not how do you
yeah.
remove
You
him, how do you get
need
him back?
Yeah, because we've got a lot to think about with Salah
Mm.
and Son going away
Okay.
to the AFCON and Asia Cup. So,
Yeah.
yeah, really plan it out what you're going to do. The plan might have to change.
Yeah.
We might have other things pop up. The Haaland injury might be worse than we think. Other players might get injured, but at least have it in the back of your mind, a rough plan of what you're going to do. Yeah.
Definitely. I think we'll wrap it up there. Yeah, we've got some tough decisions to make. Keep an eye on the team news video and podcast later in the week. We'll have all the news from the press conferences and that all important Haaland news, which could affect our decisions. Do remember to press that like button. Do remember to subscribe as well. Keep up to date with all our latest videos and podcasts. And do have a look at fantasyfootballscout.co.uk for those membership offers there. Tom, thanks a lot for joining me. Good luck with the game week and yeah, good luck with that Haaland decision. See you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, Joe.